One. Numbers.
Check.
Number. Math.
Checkmate.
Check 1 2. Check.
Math rock.
Check 1 2.
All
Check
right.
1 2.
I have to pour more drinks.
Testing microphone.
How's your
Testing.
testing the volume?
All right. So
Check
empty.
1 2.
what I really like to do during the course of this show is gradually lean back and sit on the other side of the room, really far away from the microphone.
Not a good idea. Your back should be hurting by the end of the.
Well, good news. It already hurts
Well,
It's like your feet.
from
That's
carrying
'cause-
the show.
that's because. Oh my God! He went there already.
I went into a spinning wheel for some reason.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound like our theme song.
Yeah, that was spinning wheel.
All right.
Should we go?
Start it up.
Really?
If you start me up.
Do you truly want me to?
No. Yeah, I do.
Are you ready for this?
I'm so ready, dude.
Okay.
Y'all ready
Okay.
for this?
Okay. All right. So, this is our podcast.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Wiki Wiki What. This is the third episode, right?
Yeah.
Third episode of Wiki Wiki What. We are a random knowledge podcast where you'll probably learn something, whether you like it or not. My name is Dana.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jake, and what we do during the show is browse Wikipedia for random articles. We all choose articles starting with the same letter. We keep the articles hidden from each other until the time of recording,
Secrets.
and then we come on here and talk about them.
Yeah,
But we didn't choose the same article this time.
we hope not.
We hope not.
Yeah,
letter,
like
different
Jake
article.
was saying, we go alphabetically. So third episode. I'll give you guys a second to do that math. And the letter we're doing today is C.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
No, that's the wrong thing to say.
So what we like to do is kind of tease our articles a little bit to see who goes first. And I think Dana, why don't you go first today?
It seems like a trend.
No. It's random.
It's completely random.
Yeah.
All right, mine is a very, very serious medical condition.
Oh.
Oh Lord.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jakey Big Boy.
Mine is also a very, very serious medical condition.
God damn it, Jake.
No, I'm just kidding. Mine is actually an early French magnetizer.
Oh. And mine is somehow related to Dan Aykroyd.
Oh.
This is good.
It's a Coastbusters, right?
That's what it is.
It's Ghostbusters.
It's the Filipino in me coming out. I don't know how to spell American words.
Right.
All right.
Okay, well, what sounds the most delicious on this
I'm
August
interested in learning about this very serious medical condition so I can self-diagnose, so I can WebMD myself and see if I have it.
Oh. Okay.
What do you think, Jakey?
Yeah, let's hear about it.
No.
I want to get upset immediately.
Yeah, let's
All
bring
right.
it down.
Okay. We're going to start off the podcast with a very, very somber feel here.
Okay.
I don't, please do not laugh. Please do not laugh, okay?
Oh, no.
Do not laugh about this. My article is on cello scrotum.
No.
I told you not to laugh. I told
No.
you not to laugh.
Not a thing.
I told you not to laugh.
Not a thing.
Knock it off. Knock it off.
What?
Shut up.
Wait, no, before you say anything, I just want to allow my brain to keep doing what it's doing and just present to me things that are possible cello scrotum things. Because, God, it sounds horrible.
Look, a lot of people go through life with this, and it's not funny to, make fun of it.
It's true.
So just chill out for a second.
All right. We'll
That's
give it
really
some
disrespectful.
some brevity, yeah.
Just kidding. Laugh all you want. It's complete hoax medical condition.
Oh, yay!
All right, dude.
Yeah. So cello scrotum. It's a hoax. It was originally published as a brief case report in the British Medical Journal in 1974.
Ooh.
Just in case you guys don't have any information on the British Medical Journal, or the BMJ as they call it, and they do call it that. It's actually called the BMJ. It's one of the world's oldest peer-reviewed medical journals.
All right.
Okay. So, yeah.
I thought a BMJ was a bowel movement job.
Hello, scrotum. Okay, so as the name suggests, it was said to be an affliction of the scrotum that affected male players of the cello.
Oh.
If you can imagine that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. They are probably the orchestral instrument that has the most stress on that.
Yeah. The most contact with the scrotal region, or
Yeah.
the scrotex, as Jake and I like to call it.
This what?
See, the scrotex is the area of your body where
The scrotum
you
is.
think you're gonna get hit in the nuts. So it's like
Okay.
above the knees, but like below the ribs.
Basically, any area of your body where you would flinch, thinking that you're going to get hit in the nuts, that falls in the scrotex.
I love how apparent it's just become to me that you guys did not do sports growing up.
Nah.
Anything flying in your general direction, you're like, oh no, my nuts!
No, I did soccer.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a dangerous scrotum sport.
I got hit in the face, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So I flinch at the slightest thing coming at my face.
All right.
So the original letter on cello scrotum was written by Dr. Elaine Murphy, but signed by her husband, John Murphy.
Please tell me he was a cello player.
He was not a cello player. They were both medicinal practitioners.
Okay.
Elaine Murphy was born in 1947, and she's actually a British politically independent politician and a current member of the House of Lords, which is the upper house of Parliament. So she actually wrote this case report as a joke to compare with a previous report regarding a condition called guitar nipple.
Was that one real?
So that one was said to be real. However, she and her husband said, nah, that doesn't sound real. Let's make up our own one in 1974.
Yeah. 1974,
And,
the golden age of cinema, when jokes ruled the world.
Exactly. And jokes got into really, really prestiged medical publications. So the condition so guitar nipple was reportedly, it occurred when some styles of guitar playing excessively irritated the player's nipple. Very, very similar to jogger's nipple, which is a thing.
Yes.
So Murphy and her husband basically believed guitar nipple was complete bullshit, and they decided to publish their hoax on cello scrotum in response to this.
Nice.
And all of this is taking place in a completely professional medical journal.
In a completely professional medical journal being submitted by a British parliamentarian.
Right, exactly. By a very, very smart woman.
Yeah.
So fast forward all the way to 2009. 2009, cello scrotum has been in this journal for So Elaine and her husband revealed to the press that cello scrotum is a hoax in 2009. And here's her quote that she said to CNN. Perhaps after 34 years, it's time for us to confess that we invented cello scrotum.
Oh my God.
So I wonder if there were doctors out there diagnosing cello scrotum.
I would hope. You are it was like one of those, you'd like go in to get your like medicinal marijuana card and you'd be like, yeah, I got a real bad case of the cello scrotums. Plural.
So she goes on to say, reading Dr. Curtis's 1974 letter to the BMJ on guitar nipple, we thought it highly likely to be a spoof and decided to go one further by submitting a letter pretending to have noted a similar phenomenon in cellist, signed by the non-doctor one of us. So, there you go.
That's so good.
And then she says, anyone who has ever watched a cello being played would realize the physical impossibility of our claim.
I just love that we live in a world where this happened. Like, this is one of those bright moments where you're like, oh, all right. It's not so bad.
You know, all the darkness that's happening, we at least have cello scrotum.
Yeah. We'll always have cello scrotum.
I'm just glad that I know I can always turn to a medical journal to get my jokes. You know?
Exactly, right?
That's what I want.
That's all the material you need. So it's thought that the Murphys actually came clean because cello scrotum was actually mentioned as recently as 2008 in another BMJ article entitled A Symphony of Maladies, which made reference to a number of actual legitimate conditions, such as fiddler's neck, which is where violin and viola players develop this like skin rash or a cyst, actually, where the instrument rests on their necks.
I can see that.
And Satchmo's syndrome, which actually was... This is a terrifying one when I was reading it, where trumpet players can actually blow apart their lip skin by playing too hard and too good.
Well, it's like the thing, you know, you'll see like guitar and banjo players, they'll like shred their fingers when they're like going too hard. It's about time that these trumpet players get off of their high horse and start blowing some lips off.
Yep. So they decided once they saw that cello scrotum was being listed with these actual legitimate conditions, fiddler's neck, Satchmo syndrome, a number of other ones, they were like, okay, maybe time to come clean. It's been 34 years.
Yeah, they made all the money they were going to make off of that joke.
Right. So I have a little more background on Elaine Murphy because already I'm a fan. She sounds like an excellent person.
She does. She sounds like I want her to be my grandmother.
I want her to be my little British grandmother. So really, really actually impressive life. She qualified as both a doctor and a psychiatrist, but later became an academic in the National Health Service for 25 years. She was the very first professor of psychiatry of old age in the UK. She was the vice president of the Alzheimer's Society at St. George's Hospital in London. And she was actually made a baroness in 2004, taking interest in mental health and aging issues in the House of Lords, where she currently sits as a crossbencher.
What does that mean?
What is a crossbencher, you might ask?
I do. I just did.
What is it?
A crossbencher is basically an independent or minor party
that
gotcha. Literally sits on benches that are perpendicular between the government and their major opposition.
They're
party.
that like specific over there with their seating arrangement?
Yeah,
she's a real crossbencher.
Yeah.
So, honestly, pretty cool lady for having written a 34-year hoax on About Nut Sex.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So this got me interested in other medical hoaxes. So I have a couple here.
I have, before you start, I just want to say that I have something in my brain that I hope you get to. It's like very tenuously related, but if you don't, I'm going to bring it up.
Okay. First one I have here is The Boy with the Golden Tooth. This is a hoax from 1593. So there were reports of a 7-year-old boy who had miraculously grown a golden tooth. Jacob Horst, a professor of medicine at Julius University, investigated it and determined that the boy indeed had gold in his mouth. He wrote a 145-page treatise about it.
But was this in like Old English, like cursive? So like there was like three words on each page?
Yeah. Attributing the golden tooth to, ready? Astrological causes.
Oh, God.
Mainly an unusual alignment of the planets that must have increased the heat of the sun. The heat from the sun changed the molecular makeup of the boy's mouth.
Uh-huh.
Man, I'm glad that doesn't happen anymore.
You're glad that people don't
get gold
write
tooth?
145-page documents about the alignment of planets?
No, I'm glad the planets don't align and turn my teeth.
Oh,
up.
right.
I thought you were going to say he attributed it to Malthus-Stiltskin disease.
Yeah, I think I read about that in the British Medical Journal.
yeah, right.
It was seconded by that chick. I forget her name already.
It's been It's been in there for 34 years.
Yeah.
So he actually argued that the tooth was a portent of the dawn of a new golden age of the Holy Roman Empire.
Nice. I like where he's going with this.
So totally a hoax. Eventually, it was actually discovered that it was the world's first case of a molded gold crown,
Which is already an accomplishment, but they like tried to turn it into something else.
right in 1593. That's a pretty cool
Way to go.
advancement there. Do you want to know how they found out that it was a molded gold crown?
If I can speak from experience, one time I blew out a filling because I was rapping too hard at karaoke, so I can only imagine that this boy was doing his golden tooth performance and was rapping too hard and it popped out.
When was this?
A couple years ago.
Oh my goodness. No, so actually a lot more gruesome than that. The boy, after having so many doctors examine his mouth, started refusing requests to look at it, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Eventually a drunken nobleman got so pissed off that he wasn't allowed to see the boy's tooth. He stabbed him in the face.
I love this.
And then a doctor came to suture the wound and went, "Oh, a filling."
So he was like showing it exclusively to nobles who had no idea what they were doing. And then like the cursory glance of a doctor was like, "Oh yeah, we've been working on these."
Oh yeah, how about that? So that's the case of the golden tooth.
Oh, that's great.
I got one more here. Cockroach pills.
Nope.
Okay, so Dr. Joseph Greger held a press conference in New York in May 1981 to announce that he had developed a miraculous pill that could cure colds, acne, anemia, and menstrual cramps. And it could even make people immune to nuclear radiation.
Test it.
The key ingredient to this pill, he said, was a hormone extracted from cockroaches. Over 175 newspapers published articles about this discovery.
Oh boy. This was when? What time?
1981.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no. However, oh no. Dr. Joseph Greger was really longtime media hoaxer Joey Skaggs.
Wait.
Joey Skaggs.
What?
Joey Skaggs.
So, I think all these names and situations are confusing. Joey Skaggs?
Sounds like a media hoax.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Joey Skaggs. You can look him up. Upon revealing the hoax, Skaggs commented, here we go, "I guess no one reads Kafka anymore."
Got him.
So it's possible that Joey Skaggs got his fake doctor name from actually one of Kafka's works. Greger was the first name of the main character of Kafka's 1950 novella, The Metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Got him. Tricked
Yep.
him.
I feel like also he was kind of like somebody told him about Kafka and he like just like developed this ruse from that. Like I doubt this man knew too much about.
You don't think he had a range of Kafka material?
I seriously doubt this.
No one reads Kafka anymore, including me.
I know about Kafka from home movies.
Right.
Yeah, I watched that episode the other
It's
day.
great.
It was a good one. Yeah.
So that's cockroach pills.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a few more things here.
Wait, so let me interject and tell you what I was hoping you were going to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
I was hoping you were going to talk about there's like this urban legend about Mr. Belvedere that during filming they had to take like a couple week hiatus because he would sit on his testicles. Like while they were filming, he would go to sit down and sit on them, injure himself, and then like sometimes would have to go to the hospital. There's like interviews. I like honestly, like off the top of my head, I can't remember who are the actors involved, but there's like interviews with the actors on the show where some have like supported it, saying like, yeah, it happened.
Hold on. I sat on my nuts again.
It's a thing.
I gotta go to the hospital.
First order of business after you crush your nuts and have to take a week off, wear a cup on set. Oh,
No, man, he was a gentleman, so he had to let him hang low.
Oh my god.
that was the show about the butler and the assless chap,
Yeah,
right?
no assless chaps. Did he have assless chaps? I don't know the words, but I know the tune.
Was that? Were you trying to jog your memory on the assless chaps?
Yeah, that was so.
Oh god.
All right. I got a few more.
Yeah,
things
carry on.
here
Sorry.
to round it out. So there's some other actual conditions like that are real, that are kind of in the vein of blank, you know, like,
Yeah.
All right, so we got Nintendo thumb.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that.
It's also known as gamer's grip or Nintendinitis.
Nice.
Got him.
It's classified as a form of repetitive strain injury, or RSI. Causes blistering and swelling of the thumbs, mainly through use of the D-pad. But I haven't found any information about Mario Party Palm. So I might actually end up writing my own article for the BMJ.
Could you? Because I had a pretty serious case of that in 7th grade.
Because that is very, very real.
Yeah, everybody had that
God.
little patch in the middle of their palm that was a different color because the blister just broke.
Yeah, I used
Right.
to have a mole in the middle of my hand, and that shit is gone because I burned it off.
I like
in
it.
that stupid rowboat game.
And I'll just end it on jogger's nipple, which I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, which is a fissure of the nipple.
Yeah. Nipple
Yeah.
fissures.
That wasn't a very fun article to look upon,
The
Yeah.
jogger's nipples?
if you can imagine
Yeah.
that. And that's where I'll end it.
All right. Well done.
I hope you had a good journey with me.
I did. It was really fun.
I'm like really excited to start my subscription to the British Medical Journal.
I know. I kind of want to. I think I'm going to go back to London and I'm going to high five Elaine Murphy.
Yeah.
I
just-
I want you to do it real aggressively and get taken
I'm going
down.
to break into Parliament.
There we go.
and high five.
Like
her
just
old
like go
lady.
full Todd Margaret.
I'm just really looking for a joke to incubate for 34 years. Like, I want one of my jokes to last
super
that long.
impressive.
There-
I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
super impressive. All right, who's next?
What was mine's Dan Aykroyd, and what's yours, Jakey?
Mine is an early French magnetizer.
I don't know. Dana, you make the decision.
no,
You just
I want Chris to go.
All right.
All right.
I'll go.
I want to hear what's going on.
Okay,
I'll go
so I don't
last.
know. This won't be immediately apparent, like what the connection to Dan Aykroyd is, but I did a little research on crystal skulls.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, the connection is that Dan Aykroyd is a crazy person.
Yeah, we'll get there, but it gets way more intense.
You're talking about the plot of the fourth Indiana Jones.
I sure
movie.
am. So,
I love that movie.
crystal skulls exist in real life. There's actually one at the Smithsonian and one at the what is this British museum called?
I think it's actually just called the British Museum.
Oh, there you go.
I've been to it.
Yeah, I was pretty accurate then. So they're crystal skulls are they're human kind of shaped skulls that are carved out of clear or milky white quartz. All of them, like upon their, I'm doing air quotes right now, discovery, were claimed to be pre-Columbian Mesoamerican artifacts. So like Central American artifacts in like the Aztec Maya cultures before English influence. All of these were kind of presented as such. The only problem is that none of the specimens that have been made available for scientific study have been authenticated as pre-Columbian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're just sitting in limbo that nobody knows what they're from.
Well, no, people know where they're from, but the people who are holding the skulls are like very hesitant to allow people to examine them, particularly as technology gets better, because they are certain that they will be proven as hoaxes. So the results of the studies of the skulls that have been actually studied have basically people have decided that they were more likely than not manufactured in Germany with with quartz from Brazil, which is not Mesoamerican. That's too far south into South America. Yeah,
this is so elaborate already.
yes, in the middle of the 19th century. So there's a couple of collections, and there's like a really interesting thing where two of the main skulls that are usually studied both originated from the same man who had an antiquities dealership in France. His name was Eugene Boban. And he opened his shop in Paris in 1870, and he's associated with a lot of the crystal skulls. So there's also one of the most famous skulls that is studied and talked about, and actually the plot of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull,
Right.
they mention it a lot, the Mitchell Hedges skull, which was... So, I'll walk you through this story. So
Okay.
F.A. Mitchell Hedges was a popular British adventurer and author in like the early 1900s. He had a daughter named Anna Mitchell Hedges who would sometimes accompany her father. I think she had a little bit of envy problems because in 1924, Anna Mitchell Hedges discovered the Mitchell Hedges skull. It's a crystal skull. She discovered it in, according to her, in the ruins of, I keep wanting to say Louboutin because like the shoe, but it's not. It's Louboutin, but it's a temple in what is now Belize. So she claims that she found it buried under a collapsed altar inside of the temple. But as far as her father is concerned, he has made no mention of the discovery in any of his writings based on his time there. And others who were present at the time of the excavation, they won't say that happened, and they also won't verify that Anna was there.
Daddy, I have a crystal skull.
Yeah.
Nah, sweetie, that's not real.
No, but like the people around won't even say like, yeah, she was there with us. Like that's how loose this is.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. So they have studied the skull a couple times. It was actually purchased according to. So they did a National Geographic documentary on the skull, and
it's called "Was Anna Really There?"
It's not the name of the documentary, but they discovered that the skull was probably purchased at Sotheby's actually in 1943, and shortly thereafter and it was purchased by F.A. Mitchell Hodges. So it was purchased by her father, and then he actually wrote a letter to his brother that they found evidence of, that he was like, hey, I found this skull. Or I bought this skull.
God, the fact that that back then, like, no one authenticated anything.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of assumed. Like, no one even stopped to think, maybe fake.
You used to be able to do anything.
You could claim anything.
Those were the days.
That's science at its finest.
This bathtub I have, if you get in, cures your herpes. It's gone.
God.
Well, speaking of
instead of spreading.
Right, get in, your herpes are gone.
Speaking of that, so there's some paranormal claims associated with the crystal skulls. There's a couple other crystal skulls, and they're all over the place. The one other interesting thing about the Mitchell Hedges skull is that it was the jaw is actually detached. Most of the other skulls, the jaw was, obviously it was carved from one piece of quartz. And so she tried to claim that the skull was, I don't know, created in some way, and it's not necessarily the same. They've actually done some studies on it, and in I think it's in the 1970s, it was brought to the attention of writer Richard Gavin, who was working with an advertising agency at the time, and Hewlett Packard was one of his accounts, and they were like, yeah, we got all these like really cool things we can scan the skull with. And so they scanned it, and it was like, as technology kind of progressed, we started to see more and more things where it was like, oh, these were actually like moving machined metal parts, carved the teeth grooves. And so there's a lot of stuff that kind of started poking holes in the plan.
Right.
But she claimed, Anna claimed, that the skull had some paranormal properties, and she has been on record alleging that the skull would cause visions, would cure cancer, and she once used its magical properties to kill a man.
What?
Yeah.
All right, well, she's a murderer. Put her in jail.
And in another instance, she saw in a premonition the assassination of John F. Kennedy, which I'm curious if that's the man she killed, and that's what she
maybe
means.
She killed Kennedy.
Yeah.
Second shooter. It was the skull.
It was the skull. Yeah. So there's a lot of issues that. But yeah, so the National Geographic documentary is called The Truth Behind the Crystal Skull. And in that documentary, they had a forensic artist named Gloria Noose. She performed forensic facial reconstruction over a replica of the skull. And this was another thing that kind of poked some problems with it, because this is supposed to be, a Mesoamerican, Central American skull structure and whatnot. So she started, doing her forensic rebuilding, placing like the clay for muscle features and skin features, and it turned out that it was a
rebuilding the molecular construction of the face.
Not molecular, but yes. So she's building this up, and it turns out that it's a female face, and it had very like strong European characteristics. And so, as was hypothesized, they thought that the crystal skull was actually a replica of a actual human skull that they used to copy. And if they were producing the skull in Germany, it would have very European features, as opposed to ancient American native features. So that is some of the holes that were poked in this plan. But there's a bunch of skulls, a bunch of people claiming some nonsense. There's also a list of other artifacts of controversial origin that are on here, and there's apparently obsidian mirrors, which are depicted in Aztec art. Often, there's no relics or no evidence of them actually ever existing. But that didn't.
These just like big pieces of obsidian that are really shiny.
Yeah, I guess. But people started, people started selling Aztec obsidian mirrors and everything that every time they've examined them, they were
cashing in on it.
Yes, exactly. And there was also a thing with Olmec style face masks, kind of like the face from Legends of the Hidden Temple, that are covered in jade, and basically every piece of every artifact that has been offered has been proven to be false. So there's a lot of that where there's a lot of problems, and it was like they talk about the electron microscope and the Smithsonian in 2008 actually did a study on the Mitchell Hedges skull, and they were able to find out that the tools, they were able to get even smaller detail about it and see that rotary disc tools made this from a suitable metal and that it was roughed out by certain materials.
I don't understand why people aren't assuming that aliens have rotary tools.
Well, that's another thing that happened. So there was a man who got in contact with it. So where is this? In 1970, Anna remarried. She and her husband, she ended up passing away in 2007. And so the skull was left to her new husband, who's, what was his name? Homan. And he actually brought the skull to an anthropologist, or no, it wasn't an anthropologist, it was an artist who was used to kind of using the tools of that era and building things. And what he said was that the skull was it was carved out, he kind of reaffirmed that yeah, there were tools used that weren't available at the time, but he also said that the smoothness of it means that it had to have been smoothed out by natural like wind and sand brushing over it, and that it took 200 years, and then somehow off of that said, yeah, it's probably 12,000 years old.
Probably.
Yeah. So he said it was he speculated that it was first chiseled into its rough form, probably using diamonds and finer shaping grinding. But
how do they make these hypotheses?
So this man was what was his where's his name?
Probably X, probably Y.
He's a freelance art restorer named Frank Dorland. And he did this, in the 1970s. And so, he said, but the polishing was probably achieved through the use of sand over a period of 150 to 300 years. And then he said, it could be up to 12,000 years old.
Oh, my God.
And so there's another thing about it where there's various claims where they claim that the skull has a consistent temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like that could be disproved super fast.
Well, it was the problem. When any of the scientific studies happened, they were just oh yeah, no, it's just quartz.
They're like, let me see that for a second. 68.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Oh, you mean it's the temperature the quartz would be at 54 degrees?
Yeah, exactly. so all that happened. But this goes on, obviously the Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, that happened.
By the way, that movie gets a lot of shit, but I actually liked it.
You liked when he flew through the air in the nuclear blast inside of a refrigerator?
I loved it. Dude, that is the shit that
it's not Indiana Jones.
Movies are all about. Okay?
All right.
The crazy, fantastic. Chris, he walked into a chamber where a Knight of the Round literally was hanging out.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to grab the right cup or you're out of here.
Yeah. Come on, he can fly through the air in a refrigerator.
No, the biggest problem was that, in that last movie, they tried to use, they tried to lean on science too much, which is no, let it be mystical fantasy.
No, see,
don't lean on science.
They were tapping into that very 50s romanticism about UFOs and the red menace and all this, sci-fi shit. That was the whole point of that movie, was tapping into that vein.
Well, you're officially a monster, and now I know that. So that movie's bad. Obviously involved the Crystal Skulls.
You're bad.
There's Oh yes.
Hold on. So I didn't see the Indiana Jones movies till I was like 25.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
I've
I
never
showed
seen
them
one.
to you.
You showed them to
in
me.
the living room.
We watched all 4 of them right in a row,
Uh-huh.
and people were like bashing all over the 4th one. Right? Honestly, couldn't tell the difference. Like,
Right?
They're
It
pretty.
fit-
They're
it
pretty much
fits
the
in-
same.
It fits in the realm of the fantastical world that Indiana Jones.
It is a perfect blend of like the 2 good Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom.
Like, I would rather watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull than Temple of Doom again.
Exactly.
Well, what about
But-
Short Round?
Dude, I don't know. All I know
Temple of Doom.
is my favorite part of the 4th Indiana Jones movie is at the end when his hat blows off and Shia LaBeouf picks it up for a second,
Right.
and you're like, oh, he's going to be the next Indiana Jones. And then they, like, snatch the hat out of his hand, and they're like, no, he's not.
And then they're gonna CGI Chris Pratt walking in.
They go back and they fix the movie.
Yeah. So anyways, so they're obviously they're involved in that. They were also involved in the 1996 movie The Phantom, starring Billy Zane.
Oh, I saw that
Billy
movie.
Zane. Yeah, which is a in that movie there are 3 skulls that they're trying to kind of track down, and then they can be controlled, and they give the user unlimited power.
That's the one where you get, like, the ring, right?
Yes, he has the ring.
Yeah. I saw that movie when I was, like, 9 years old.
I don't know what
It's a
you're
great
talking
movie.
about.
He doesn't wear a cape, and it makes it makes it very obvious that superheroes should wear capes because he's just running around in a purple unitard. It looks ridiculous. It's called The Phantom. They recently did another. I'll give a podcast shout out. How Did This Get Made? Just did an episode based on The Phantom, which is pretty great. So those are movies that feature it. But let's get back to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which has a small cameo by Dan Aykroyd. So this is how we're getting into Dan Aykroyd. So Dan Aykroyd is the owner.
You're okay,
Yes.
Chris. Your hint was kind of a.
It
reach.
was, but let me get to it because, yeah.
Go ahead.
Dan Aykroyd owns a liquor company. It is a vodka company that is called Crystal Head Vodka. The vodka comes in a glass-shaped skull.
He owns
Yes.
that company? What? I never knew that.
Yes. So he
nuts.
there is a video that I highly recommend you seek out, and it is Dan Aykroyd talking about the legend of the Crystal Skulls and the process in which they make the vodka, which he was like, a lot of vodkas are filtered through charcoal filters, and we do that too, because that's like what you have to do to make vodka. But then for the purity of the earth, we filter it through a filter of diamonds. Real life.
Because everyone knows diamonds are really porous.
Yeah.
That's their thing.
Anyways, Dan Aykroyd, it's pretty well known that he's kind of a Looney Tunes guy. He's into the paranormal. He wrote a lot of the crazy stuff in Ghostbusters that was all about the ghosts.
Yeah, he's basically a real life version
He
of his
very much
character
is.
in
He
Ghostbusters.
very much is. And if you watch this video about Crystal Head Vodka, it is apparent. So, I'll just leave that there. So there's Crystal Head Vodka. And then there was one thing that this is something I want to assert in the way that you used to be able to just make claims in the 1920s as a quote unquote scientist. So Crystal Pepsi. So
Which we were talking about.
yeah,
before
I
the
recently
show.
purchased a bottle of it because it's available again. Crystal Pepsi was produced from 1992 to 1993. I think the only thing that was holding it up from being produced earlier was the fact that the technology, to actually really perfect it wasn't there yet. I think that the idea for Crystal Pepsi came from Dan Aykroyd in 1984 while he was making the original Ghostbusters. So he started planning, talked to Pepsi about some product tie-ins. They couldn't get it done at the time. At 1992, they were like, hey, we got it. And he's like, put it out anyways. There's not going to be a tie-in. And so
Right.
it
and
failed.
he said, hey, make sure you set up your factories for Crystal Pepsi in Germany and get all of
Yes.
your ingredients from
Please.
Bolivia.
No, Brazil was where yeah. But I'm
sorry,
But
Brazil.
so that I think that happened, and I think now that they had that technology, he called them up again and said, "Hey, they're making this new Ghostbusters movie that's coming out in 2016. Get those machines ready." Crystal Pepsi comes back in 2016. I rest my case, gentlemen.
Oh my god, I never realized the correlation between Crystal Pepsi and Ghostbusters before.
Yeah, there was only a 8-year gap for the first time. This time they really got it together and got it out in the same year.
Oh my god, I gotta go out and get some.
Yeah. So that's Crystal Skulls.
And Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah, and Crystal Head vodka, which I cannot stress how much I recommend people seeking out a video of Dan Aykroyd talking about the process of Crystal Head vodka.
All right, as soon as we're done, I'm looking it up.
Do it,
All right,
please.
so Dan Aykroyd legit believes that he saw aliens.
Yes.
So you can actually look up all of these videos of him talking about his UFO encounter and stuff. Like, if you need to find out a celebrity that's like really into conspiracy theories and stuff, Dan Aykroyd's your boy.
Oh yeah. It is a deep mine.
It's good stuff.
It's a deep mine of crystals.
Crystal heads.
Crystal skulls and crystal peps.
Yeah.
You got to mine the crystals to make the Pepsi. It's really labor intensive.
My good buddy Jeff one time got a bottle of the Crystal Head vodka and decided he was going to try to make Skittles vodka out of it, and just dumped a bunch of Skittles in the skull, and then but didn't filter it at all. So all the sugars and the particulates were still in there, and it turned into a gruesome sight.
And then the skull like flew away.
Yeah. We couldn't control it because we didn't have the Phantom's ring.
Like some sort of Zelda enemy.
It was. It sprouted fire and stuff too.
Right.
We put the fire out and it hopped around on the floor for a while. It was fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're making a bunch of gamer jokes.
Hey!
Hey! Okay.
We are
Jake,
nerds.
Jake,
Video games.
What's up, dude?
All right.
Gravity, you said?
Magnets, brother!
I said he was a magnetizer.
Yeah, you just went full on Insane Clown Posse on us.
How do they work?
I want to know about your topic.
All right, so my topic is Charles LaFontaine.
That's a fantastic name.
Yeah, born
I like it.
1803, died 1982. No, wrong. 1892. He would have been really old. 1982. So he was an early French magnetizer. So magnetizers, also known as mesmerists.
Oh, wow!
That sounds like some sort of MMO class.
Yeah, they were actually. They believed that they could control what is known as animal magnetism, which was a name given by German doctor Franz Mesmer in the 18th century to what he believed to be an invisible natural force exerted by animals. So Mesmer's name is actually where we get like the word like mesmerizing and all of that. So to hold the
not created by Shakespeare, like every single other word in the world.
Right. There was actually this quote that I should have left in and I cut, but it was basically this guy who was like trying to debunk mesmerism, and like he was just like going off like, why should it be named after Mesmer? We don't name any other sciences after a guy. Like, it's not even real. Like, it was this really good quote from like, I don't know. Anyway, so basically what Mesmer believed, I'm going to give you this quote, is that modern philosophy has admitted universal principle of fluid matter which occupies all space, and that as all bodies moving in the world abound with pores, this fluid matter runs backwards and forwards, flowing through one body by the currents which issue therefrom to another, as in a magnet, which produces that phenomenon which we call animal magnetism. This fluid consists of fire, air, and spirit.
Whoa!
And like all other fluids, tends to an equilibrium. Therefore, it's easy to conceive how the efforts of the bodies which make towards each other produce animal electricity. So, basically, what this guy believed is that all animals have this fluid within them. A magnetic fluid that's made up of fire and air and spirit.
I'm sick.
And
I'm sick already.
the magnetizers believe that they could control it, right? So a magnetizer is one who has the power to manipulate magnetic fluid with effects upon people, and they believe that they could like use it to heal people and things like that. So
Didn't they try and do this in X-Men with Magneto? Like, he was like, hey, I can control parts of your body that have iron in them, or
He
whatever.
sucked the iron out of that guard's blood so he could make those little ball bearings and discs to escape.
is that right?
That's in I think the second X-Men movie. X-Men, X2, X United,
X2.
Export, import.
Go see it. Good movie.
All right, so magnetizers believe they could influence this magnetic fluid, and by doing so could manipulate the body into doing things it might not ordinarily do, such as healing wounds much more quickly and stuff. So some people have like looked back on the study of mesmerism and animal magnetism and equate it sort of to like the sort of same healing principles as like acupuncture and acupressure. So they're like, oh, the body's fluids are being blocked, so if you use some animal magnetism and move everything around, everything's going to be cool.
All the stuff in the body, it's perfectly fine. It just needs to be in the right spot.
It just needs to be in a different place than it is right now, and everything will be okay.
I'll tell you how to do it. Needles and suction cups and magnets.
And some hot rocks on your back.
Yeah.
So from 1840 to 1841, LaFontaine stayed in London, where he became a local sensation by going to the zoo and like magnetizing animals. So he's going up on stage and he's
Wait.
Hold on, Chris, go ahead.
No, just continue. I'm sorry. I just like got this perfect picture of this insane man just throwing magnets at animals.
No, see, what I envisioned was a man busting through a group of like children that were like really legitimately interested in these gorillas,
Watch
right?
this.
The gorilla habitat, and he just starts doing this like magician style like hand movements towards the gorilla.
So he did it to a lion, right? He's up on stage and he's like magnetizing this lion and he's making it all subdued. And everyone's like, oh, wow, I can't even believe that this guy isn't being killed by this lion right now. So while he's up on stage and he's magnetizing these lions, every once in a while he'd pull audience members up on stage and like do it to them. And he's like, hey, check this out. I'm going to do all this stuff to you.
I'm going to magnetize your mind.
Right. So he writes this autobiography. He also wrote a magazine about how to magnetize and like had it published.
A magnet zine.
Magnet zine. So
come on. These are ripe.
He writes this autobiography. And in his autobiography, he claimed to heal the sick through magnetizing and kept notes of all the patients that he saw. Now, keep in mind, this dude was not a doctor. He was not legally allowed to practice medicine and stuff. But people would show up, and he claimed that he had a cure success rate of over 80%. So people would show up and they'd be like, I got all these problems. And he's like, I'm gonna magnetize you and you're gonna be cool. So I've got a list of a lot of the things that he said that he cured.
Oh, please.
And like how many times he cured it.
Please.
In one night.
So if you want to know the statistics, let me know. I'm just going to read off the list of things he claimed to have cured.
Just list it off.
All right, so blindness, paralysis, continuous convulsive movement, rheumatic pain, epilepsy, hysterics, stuttering, nervous breakdowns, neuralgia, chronic vomiting blood.
Chronic vomiting got me, sorry.
Okay.
What's neuralgia?
I don't know. I didn't look up all of these things. There's some in here I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
So chronic vomiting, he saw 5 cases and only solved 4. So one dude was still like barfing it up like crazy.
puking it up like...
Okay, so neuralgia is an intense, typically intermittent pain along the course of a nerve.
Oh, good. I'm glad he did that. He did it 5 out of 7 times.
I have a question about... so he said he cured hysteria. Give me those statistics.
21 out of 22.
Okay, and also... From what I know of the term hysteria, it was for women, and one of the treatments was to just like pound them with vibrators.
Yeah, I think he did it with the magnet.
I was gonna say, because I know that magnets can make motors run, and vibrators have little motors in them. So is that what he did?
No, I don't even think he like used magnets. I think he was just like using hand motions.
Okay,
he was just waving his arms.
His magnetism.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
His animal magnetism, because he was an animal.
All right. So he cured vomiting blood, nervous cough. He saw intermittent fevers, scarlet fevers, brain fevers, and typhoid fevers.
That's a lot of fevers.
So 10 out of 12
That's a lot
times.
of fevers.
He cured something called deletions, which I don't really know what that is. It might be an incorrect translation, because I actually had to get all of this information from the Portuguese version of the Wikipedia page translated into English.
Wait, what happened? Why did you do? You did so much more work.
Are you sure that this wasn't like deletions from the Wikipedia?
No. It was in a table. All right. So he cured hemorrhages, heart palpitations, vertigo, chlorosis, internal bruising, anal prolapse.
Yep.
He only did that 2 out of 3 times. I feel like I could have fixed it through 3 without that.
That poor third person walking around with the
So
prolapse.
he fixed something called swelling of the whole body. Which sounds true.
Oh God!
All right. So
I'm picturing Violet Beauregard and
he only did that one
Willy
once.
Wonka.
All right. Ulcers, burns, toothache, migraine, insomnia, rigidity, inflamed bowels, and of course, hypochondria.
I think. Wait, he cured hypochondria?
Yeah, twice.
That's impressive.
All right. So
So he cured actual things, and then the thing where you think you have a problem.
yeah.
He made
but
you.
you don't
just
actually have the problem.
All right. So basically, the process of this is it's not like an overnight cure, according to this dude. Like, you come in and you're like, doctor, I got a prolapse like crazy. He's like, come see me a couple times a week. I'll wave my hands around your anus, and
Yeah.
eventually it'll go back inside. Right.
So he just like hoped for the best.
Right. So
Oh my god.
the basic premise of this is that you put your hands on people, you manipulate their magnetic fluid, and then they feel better. So, there are a lot of researchers who believe that Jesus Christ was the greatest of all magnetizers, and that a lot of the miracles that he performed in the Bible were results of animal magnetism. So,
What is the name of this group of people?
I don't know. It listed a lot of quote Protestants and spiritualists and other writers. So basically, the thing in the Bible about Jesus laying on of hands is what some people are calling animal magnetism.
See, what I get out of that is that Jesus is just a paladin.
Yeah. Straight up. And I mean, that's really what it's about. You know, when you're using lay on hands every 10 minutes, it's animal magnetism.
Yeah. Cure those diseases.
God, you guys are nerds.
Nerd. So there's this guy named Alan Kardec who is...
Alan Tudyk?
Alan...
It's happening, guys. It's finally happening.
It's back.
It's already meta.
It's back. So
Let's get Alan Tudyk on this podcast.
Yeah, okay.
I'll call him up after this.
Yes, please.
So there's this guy who founded this religion called spiritualism, which I don't have any info about. I just know that he did it.
Hey,
I remember.
We talked about that with the animism.
Also, when I was researching Crystal Skulls, they talked about the phenomenal things about it and how there was a lot of New Age religions believed in it, and I was like, hey, that's a throwback.
Hey, how about that?
Look
How
at
about
it, guys. We're
threading-
doing that Wikipedia thing where everything's related.
We're threading a needle.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it. So this guy is taking a look at Jesus healing the blind man, and he's like, oh, he didn't do it all in one go. It took him several tries. That's animal magnetism instead of a miracle.
Because of the statistics that they have of that original guy who wasn't successful every time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole time that LaFontaine's doing his show, people are impressed by his magnetism, right? They're like, oh, he's doing all this stuff. He's hypnotizing this lion. Actually, scratch that, not hypnotizing. He's magnetizing the lion. There's not a lot of science to back it up, and LaFontaine didn't really care, right? He wasn't trying to prove that it's real. He's just writing magazines and autobiographies and making money. So instead of trying to prove that it's real, a lot of the legwork in legitimizing magnetism and mesmerism was actually handled 60 years before by Franz Mesmer himself. So in 1774, Mesmer produced an artificial tide in a patient who was suffering from hysteria. He basically made her this drink that had a whole bunch of iron shavings in it. So she drinks it, and then he puts magnets all over her body, and she's like, oh man, I totally feel all of this fluid flowing through my body and you're curing my hysteria. And Mesmer's like, I'm not actually convinced it was the magnets. I think that it was animal magnetism. So he just stopped using magnets. Like, he saw this thing work, and he was like, nah. So a year later, he gets invited to give his opinion before the Munich Academy of Sciences on exorcisms. And there's this exorcist called Johann Joseph Gassner, who's a priest and a healer. And he goes in and he like kind of reviews what this dude does, right? And he goes, I'm not really convinced that this is like exorcisms and demons and stuff. I'm pretty sure Gassner just has a high degree of animal magnetism. And all of the people in the church are like, sounds right. And then Gassner loses his job as an exorcist because they're like, it's over, right?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you guys that my uncle's an exorcist?
Is he?
Yeah, I have an uncle who's a Catholic priest in the Philippines and performs exorcisms, but he refuses to speak about it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, every time he's like on sabbatical, he comes to like stay with family in California, and then the only thing he wants to do is go to Disneyland, which makes me think that Disneyland is either like actually the happiest place on earth or is crazy haunted.
Right. He's just sitting there on Haunted Mansion, like trying to expel spirits.
But yeah, he's Father Rudy. He's a Franciscan, and I like have like such a brief knowledge of Catholicism that I'm like, how big is the Franciscan order? Is he like friends with the Pope?
Definitely he is.
I hope so.
Jake, I've got
Yeah.
a question before
What?
we wrap up here.
I'm not wrapping up. I got a lot more shit here.
Okay, well, I got a question.
All right.
Does animal magnetism cure my cello scrotum?
Yeah, but he's got to touch it.
Yeah, he's got to do a lot of hand waving. And
He's got to touch it like a lot of times.
he's going to play your scrotum like a cello in order to fix it.
God.
Okay.
All right. So 2 years after this dude causes this exorcist to lose his job, he's hanging out in Vienna, and he's becoming like a popular dude. And there's this 18-year-old musician who's blind, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to use some magnetism, some mesmerism to solve your blindness." And he doesn't do it. And everyone's like, oh, no. So he becomes like this scandalous figure who has totally failed, even after
He's
he just
a
like
fraud.
Why did
Right.
Why did he tell everyone he was going to cure him?
he really believed like that's
Like
the
he
thing,
tried,
like-
he wanted to do it in the town square.
Yeah, like this guy like legit believed in what he was doing. I don't think that he thought he was a charlatan, even though he totally was. I think maybe he just got lucky like a whole bunch of times in a row.
Adorable.
So he leaves Vienna.
Adorable.
It is. No, it is. Don't you think it's like it's the cutest thing in the world where he's like he just had so much faith and belief in what he was doing that like all of the failings he was like, yeah, but you know, it worked those other times. It's
Right, so
cute.
it's going to work this time for sure. So he leaves Vienna, he goes to Paris, and he tries to open his own medical practice. Right?
Oh no.
Totally fine. There's all these people showing up. Everything's cool. So he's there, and he's trying to prove that mesmerism is real. So he goes to the Royal Academy of Sciences and Royal Society of Medicine, and he's like, yo, I need some understudies to like help me do this, and we need to prove that it's real. So he could only find one doctor who like was a professional and like had decent social standing to help him out, and it was this guy named Charles de Eslin. Became his disciple, and in 1779, 2 years after he moved to Paris, he wrote this book. And basically it was an 88-page book, but it can be summed up in like 3 sentences. It's Mesmer understood health as the free flow of the process of life through thousands of channels in our bodies. Illness was caused by obstacles to this flow, and overcoming these obstacles and restoring flow produced crises which restored health. When nature failed to do this spontaneously, contact with a conductor of animal magnetism was necessary and sufficient remedy. Mesmer aimed to aid or provoke the effects of nature. So, for example, to cure an insane person, he would cause them to have like a fit of madness.
Oh, great.
And then like they would be fine. So a few years later, King Louis XVI appoints 4 members of the Faculty of Medicine as commissioners to investigate animal magnetism, like without Mesmer requesting it. The king's just like, nah, I want to know for sure. So he puts 4 people on the thing, and then the 4 people are like, we need 5 more people. This is ridiculous. So they get like all of these like chemists and physicians and astronomers and Benjamin Franklin for some reason.
Nice.
So Benjamin Franklin
Represent. Well, he was there. He was there at that time.
Yeah. He was
the envoy to France.
He was philandering at that time.
Yeah. So
Ooh, la la.
these 9 people are investigating, and they're not trying to figure out whether or not the treatment worked, but whether or not the magnetic fluid existed, right? So they're doing all their stuff, and they're like, nope. Right? Of course it doesn't exist. It's not real. But the commission concluded that there was no evidence for such a fluid, and whatever benefit the treatment produced was attributed to imagination. So Mesmer goes into exile and dies, and that's the end of it. He's gone.
And that's the end.
That's the end. That's the end of mesmerism, right? So I got a little bit more on here. There's this Indo-Portuguese monk named Abbe Faria. He's in Paris, and he's a contemporary of Mesmer, and he's looking at all the work that he's doing, and he's kind of trying to figure it out. And
what time period is this?
This is in the late 1700s, like 1780s. So Abbe Faria is like,
Abbe Faria.
All right, so he claims nothing comes from the magnetizer, everything comes from the subject and takes place in the imagination.
Boom.
Look at that.
I.e., auto-suggestions generated from within the mind.
Just man on the moon does.
Right. So he was one of the first to depart from the theory of magnetic fluid to place relief in the importance of suggestion and to demonstrate the existence of auto-suggestion. He established what he termed nervous sleep, which belongs to the natural order. So he used to do these magnetizing seances in 1814. This is, a little bit after Mesmer's time. And he figures out that the magnetism that LaFontaine is doing, what Mesmer is doing, is just a different form of sleep. So, like I said earlier in the thing, LaFontaine's in London. He's pulling people up on stage and magnetizing them and stuff, and he does it in front of this surgeon from Scotland named James Braid.
Yeah.
And James Braid took a look at what LaFontaine was doing and was sort of listening to what Faria was saying, and went on to develop the study of hypnotism and hypnotherapy.
Oh shit!
So
there you go.
That's that. Hypnotism, more real than magnetism, but is it real?
Bit, just a little bit.
Here's a quote from a biography of James Braid. Although Braid believed that hypnotic suggestion was a valuable remedy in functional nervous disorders, he did not regard it as a rival to other forms of treatment, nor wish in any way to separate its practice from that of medicine in general. He held that whoever talked of a universal remedy was either a fool or a knave. Similar diseases often arose from opposite pathological conditions, and the treatment ought to be varied accordingly. So, Braid was like, yeah, hypnotherapy is real, and I did read a little bit about it, and apparently, just like animal
read a little bit.
So just like animal magnetism, you can use hypnotherapy to cure irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh, good.
So, just
I need someone to tell me to stop farting while I'm sleeping.
Wait, is that what you think irritable bowel syndrome is?
It's part of it.
I guess I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Anyway, that's it.
I have incredibly active bowel syndrome.
Well, you need to go see a magnetist.
That's what I do. I need to get some lead pellets.
A magnetizer.
You need to be hypnotized and then
get those lead
swallow
pills.
some,
Get them lead pills.
Get them lead pills.
Yeah. Double callback, guys.
We did it.
All right, are we done?
I think so, but I had such a good time.
Okay.
I think we did a good job tonight.
I hope so.
I feel like our stuff flowed real well together.
All right, go ahead and.
Well, wait. I just want to say to our
go ahead.
listenership, if any of you have ties to Alan Tudyk, please just tell him that we want to talk to him. Give him a little idea of the premise of the show. I'm sure he'll be interested. If Nathan Fillion wants to come as well, that's fine.
But do not let him listen to the first episode.
Nah, do that. I'm endearing, I think. Am I not endearing?
Oh, you're so endearing. Okay, end of show. Thank everyone for listening. All right.
No, don't read that legit.
Okay,
Just say the
thank
stuff.
you everybody for listening to our show.
It sounds sincere now.
No, it does. Thanks everybody for listening. Like us on Facebook, follow and retweet us on Twitter at _WikiWikiWhat. Visit our website at wikiwikiwhatpodcast.com or send us feedback or suggestions at wikiwikiwhatpodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, you did it.
Way!
You did.
Nailed it.
So, we're hoping to put out an episode around every 2 weeks. And next episode we'll actually do topics on the letter D.
D.
That'll be fun.
I'm going to do Dana Poll.
No, you won't. I'm off limits. I'm not on Wikipedia.
Not
I'm
yet.
going to write that article.
It can be edited by anyone.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, just thanks everybody for listening. If you know Alan Tudyk, yet again, I'll reiterate, just let him know.
Tell your friends. Tell them that we're somewhat funny to listen
Yeah,
to.
hide your kids, hide your wife, but tell Alan Tudyk. And hey, it's 3 a.m. Stop reading Wikipedia. Go to bed.